She sprayed my service dog in the face right there on a quiet Tuesday, with 2 cops standing 10 feet away. And when they warned her that messing with a trained service animal can be a crime, she froze like a kid who just touched a hot stove. That moment in Cedar Cove turned a normal walk into a fight. I never asked for. You know what I mean. I'm Evan Brooks. I used to run K9 units who could find a blasting cap in a sandstorm now. My partner is Scout, a golden retriever, whose most dangerous move is pinning your feet. So you can't leave the couch, he keeps the noise in my head from spiking. And we live in Maple Crest, a neighborhood that looks like a postcard. If you ignore the rule book here has a name. Linda Prescott, president of the Cedar Cove Estates, HOA, and sheriff of everything beige. That morning, the sprinklers were ticking in rhythm sun, already warming the pavement. Scout was at my knee on a short leash, nose deep in Mr. Santee's roses, like he was reading the news. Then a delivery van coughed a backfire, and my shoulders locked, breath jammed, one sharp bark from Scout, a shoulder press to my leg, textbook grounding, and Linda's door flew open like a stage cue. She marched across her perfect lawn, in a pink visor voice, bright and sharp. Evan, you cannot control that animal. And I did the breathing they teach you in through the nose, out through the mouth. He's a service dog. Linda, he startled. He did his job. He is a menace. She announced to nobody and everybody constant disruptive barking, threatening the peace, which was wild. Because Scout is quieter than half the gnomes on these porches. I said, calm, he barked once we're leaving. Gave the leash a gentle tug. And that should have been it. Fate loves an audience. 2 patrol cars rolled into the cul-de-sac like they were answering a casting call. Officer Tran and Officer Alvarez, both already exhausted. Linda waved them down. The performance began. Thank God you're here. This man's vicious animal lunged at me, and I said, that's not true. Tone, like a door closing. Tran eyeballed Scout. He seems calm now. Because you're here. Linda pushed. He should be on the dangerous dog registry. Muzzled, and while the officers traded the look that says, please don't make me write a report. Linda lifted a little silver canister aimed at Scout's face and pressed. The mist hit Scout. Yelped that sound punched through me. He pawed at his eyes, whining high. And desperate. The smell was eucalyptus, and something hot that grabbed the back of my throat. I dropped to my knees. Hey buddy, I've got you. Alvarez shoved a saline bottle into my hand. I flushed. His eyes. Looked up at Linda. What did you just do? Defended myself, she said. Chin up, just pet. Deterrent, perfectly harmless. And Tran's voice flattened, ma'am. Hand me the can. They bagged it. Tagged it, the evidence. Seal clicked, and some of the air leaked out of Linda's smile. We all traded names and size. Officers said animal control would handle dog issues. Told me to try a different route. Told Linda to go inside and left, like they were hoping the campfire would burn itself out. By sundown, it felt like a wildfire. An HOA email hit my inbox. 3 violations, $1,200 in fines, a line about liens that could lead to foreclosure if unpaid. That happened, then a county van pulled up. Animal Control Officer Patel at my door, with a clipboard and a face that said he wished he were anywhere else. We received a report. Your dog bit a child earlier today. He read, and the world slowed enough to hear a gnat. Thinking a 10-day quarantine is required. I said there was no child. Just 2 officers. And Linda. He kept his eyes on the form, like it might bite him next. We have a sworn statement and an anonymous parent. Your rabies records are current, and you're a trained handler. So I can approve a home quarantine, but this must be posted. He handed me an orange placard as big as my chest. Dangerous animal, and mentioned an emergency destruction order, under review, the kind of phrase that turns your stomach to ice. I taped the sign to the glass, and the house felt smaller. Scout sat by the back door with his leash in his mouth, tail thumping politely, not understanding why his world had shrunk to our fence line. I flushed his eyes again, whispered nonsense till his breathing evened out. Then did what I do when the noise gets loud. I got methodical. Evidence first, I mapped the cul-de-sac on a yellow pad. Drew lines from every doorbell camera, with a shot of the curb where Linda sprayed Scout. 5 houses, I knocked them one by one. The Wongs saw the orange sign and flinched, said their camera subscription might have lapsed, mister. Santee wrung his hands, said he didn't want trouble. While his shed was under review. A renter 2 doors down, said the landlord. Controls the cameras, but he answered at the corner house and across from Linda. Paul Knox stared at his polished pickup and told me his camera was on the fritz, while the status light glowed healthy green. Paul. What did she promise you? Ignore the oil stain or approve your metal awning. He bristled, told me to keep my mutt under control. I looked at his door, then at my hands. Chose breathing over a headline, walked away. Midnight porch light clicks. 2 HOA volunteers at my gate, with stacks of flyers, like raccoons in a flashlight beam. New pet ID ordinance, effective immediately. They mutter it wasn't voted on, and they're posting it during a quarantine. I filmed the flyer, no motion number, no date. Shoes squeaking away on wet concrete evidence is best when it's still dripping. I called my friend Omar Ramirez, cybersecurity guy, who drinks coffee like a sport. Told him the spray, the fake bite, the fines, the orange brand on my door. He went quiet in the way he does when his brain locks in. I'll look for breadcrumbs, public ones. Give me time, and around noon the next day, he called back with an agenda. Emergency HOA session for community safety that night. Plus a note about internal concern narratives Linda had been circulating the paper wall she was building, and a name that kept popping up. Jenna Clark, her assistant. 10 minutes later, I saw Jenna unlock Linda's door. Shoulders heavy with worry, and her little white dog blasted out the side gate like a ping-pong ball, straight toward the street. A work van rounded the corner with the driver's head down in delivery slips. Scout. Stay, I vaulted the low fence, 3 strides. Scooped the fluff ball as brakes squealed. Handed the dog back to Jenna as her eyes spilled gratitude and guilt. Why would you do that after what I did? She whispered. After what she made me do. And I said it wasn't the dog's fault. And maybe it wasn't entirely hers. The story poured out. The draft complaint, the pressure to sign the fake anonymous parent. And I told her I didn't need revenge. I needed the truth for Scout. For her. For whoever Linda wanted to bully next, she nodded through tears. Said she'd make it right. The emergency meeting should have been my execution. We turned it into a mirror. Omar brought a private stream and a backup hotspot in case someone got cute with the internet. Walt from 2 streets over, ham radio guy who treats blackouts like boss fights, rolled in with a battery pack and said, if it goes dark, I make light. The clubhouse was fluorescent beige with folding chairs and 30 neighbors. 2 officers by the doors. Linda at the front with 2 board members. Chosen for their nodding, she banged the gavel and called. Scout a clear and present danger. Said the board had voted for fines. Injunctions, liens, and I stood and asked about the alleged child. Name hospital. Anything real. The family wishes to remain anonymous, she said, through a smile that twitched. And I said, so, no medical report, no police record, just your word. And an assistant's signature. That word landed like ice down the back of her shirt. Jenna stood from the third row, shaking, but steady, holding a notarized affidavit. There was no child, she said. I signed a false statement because Linda told me to. I'm here to put my name on the truth. Gasps, a chair scraped. One board member blinked like he'd just seen daylight for the first time. Omar lifted his phone, announced the meeting was being streamed to a private link with press. Watching Sergeant Alvarez cleared his throat and said interfering with a service animal can be a criminal matter, and they were noting statements Linda tried to flee with a binder. But Mr. Santee, quiet gardener with the shed she'd been holding hostage, stood and blocked the aisle without saying a word. And that's when power shifted in the room. You could feel it. The morning after animal control called, supervisor voice, careful but human quarantine lifted. Emergency order. Voided apology offered. I sat on the kitchen floor with Scout's head in my lap and let relief hit like warm water. After a long cold, then. Maple Crest surprised me. Recall petition sprinted through the board, folded fast. A local firm took my case pro bono after a reporter asked for comment. The subpoenas brought out the emails, drafts concerned narratives, pressure on Jenna, and in court, the judge calm. Like someone who's heard every story twice, said what she saw was a textbook. Abuse of power and a malicious use of process. She voided the fines, admonished. The board referred the rest to the DA. I didn't cheer. I just breathed for the first time in 2 weeks. And yeah, there are threads. Some neighbors apologized with casseroles, because that's how people say sorry when they don't have words. Paul scrubbed the oil off his driveway like he was trying to erase a personality trait. Jenna found a job across town and started sleeping again. Linda put her house on the market and disappeared towards stricter bylaws, and shorter memories of charges are on the table. We'll see. Here's what I control. Scouts Park Day. That's what the neighborhood kids call Saturday. Now we meet at the corner lot with tennis balls and folding smiles. No ribbon, no speech. Just a golden retriever claiming he invented joy. And some folks still mutter that live streaming the meeting was too much, that we embarrassed the neighborhood. Maybe sunlight just stings when you've lived in the shade too long. I forgive easier than I forget. The orange sign is burned into me. The smell of that spray lives behind my tongue, but I don't carry it like a brick anymore. What stays is Scout leaning into my knee when the world snapped. Jenna saying truth, like she was borrowing courage. A room of neighbors remembering they still had a spine. How far do you go to defend your own? Far enough to document, to knock on doors, to ask for help, to hold the line until the line holds back. If this hit a nerve talk to me, did I go too far or not far enough? Have you seen HOAs used to help or used to hurt? Have you watched someone wear a rule book like armor and swing it at the wrong people? Drop your story, your disagreement, your what happened to me in the comments hit. Like if you think service animals deserve better than a shrug, share this with the neighbor who needs a reminder that empathy and accountability can live on the same block, and subscribe if you want more real stories from regular people who push back. Not with rage, but with receipts.